Back now talking about the Democratic sex scandals rocking the mainstream media and Congress. Joining me now to discuss are Fox News contributor Tomi Lahren and contributor of The Federalist, Britt McHenry. Okay, Tomi, I want to keep this in personal terms. As a young woman coming up in the business, how do you navigate these situations where if you have an older boss who's a man and say he wants to take you into his office or on the road and, you know, things can turn like that, where do you draw the line?
Well, here's the deal, Jesse. I guess I grew up in a very different way than maybe some of these women. I've always been very outspoken. So I said in my final thoughts the other night, if you touch me and I don't want to be touched, it'll be the last time you touch me. I can promise you that one. So I think that for young women in this industry, it's just about empowering young women.
Right. No, listen, you're from down south. You're probably packing. And this stuff doesn't happen down there as much as it does in New York, I can imagine. Britt, you worked at ESPN. Mm-hmm. Were you ever reticent about either going on the road or going into the offices? And how did you deal with it?
So just to give you a breakdown of what the newsrooms are like, the Associated Press did a report in 2014 that said 90% of sports editors were male. That's just in the newsroom, right? So I was probably one of 3 females in a football locker room covering the National Football League.
That must have been tough.
You toughen up. If I was to get offended by every little joke, every little thing, I would have lost a job in 2 weeks. So I think there needs to be due process and investigation, and you just need to take things case by case, because I think there's a difference between sexual assault and sexual harassment. Neither are okay, right, but you need to take them by case.
So Britt brings up an interesting point, Tomi. What is due process? Because we're not talking about the law. This is all happening in corporate America or in Congress. So should there be a different platform? Because right now, accusation, allegation, goodbye. Everybody gets fired. How do you think it should go down?
It's really difficult to navigate it right now, because then you run the risk of women coming out that maybe are not telling the whole truth, or maybe they're trying to seek some kind of revenge on either a politician or someone in pop culture, entertainment, sports. And so I think that that's a sensitive area that we need to navigate right now. But I will say this, I think the best way to draw attention to it is through the First Amendment. It's being outspoken. It's drawing attention to it when it happens. That, right, to me is what is such an issue here, is that 20, 30 years later you have women coming out, and I would hope moving forward that if something happens to you, you'd be able to say it when it happens or very close to when it happens, and then there's more of an opportunity to correct the wrong and then move forward quickly.
I completely agree with that. And I think the lesson, Britt, after all of this is if something happens, you immediately go to a supervisor or HR or someone and tell someone. Now it's all chaos, so no one knows what to do. Mm-hmm. If you now, 20, 30 years from now, looking back, how would you see this climate? Because I think right now men are scared. Yeah. And you could get to a point where women are going to be denied opportunities to advance in corporate America because men don't want to be alone with a woman, don't want to be in the same office as a woman, and that could have repercussions.
I was just having that conversation with someone. Like, I'm not a feminist, but it seems with this climate, the future is female, or may not be, as you mentioned, because of these concerns. You look at the Al Franken photo and how many years elapsed before that came to light. I think that, however, it did come to light, and in that case the reporter was sleeping, was not part of the joke. Right. So when he tried to dismiss it as part of a joke, when someone's unconscious, that's not funny, right? No. So we need to factor the entire scenario in, and I just hope that women feel their strength now, but also keep these considerations to not ruin lives or careers.
That's true. All right. Well, speaking of scandals, the media is trying to cook up a new one for President Trump, running wild with a joke he made referring to Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas during an event at the White House this week honoring the World War II contributions of Native Americans.
You're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas.
Here's how Senator Warren fired back.
It is deeply unfortunate that the President of the United States cannot even make it through a ceremony honoring these heroes without having to throw out a racial slur.
Tommy, a racial slur. Pocahontas, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I think it's pretty rich that she would bring up someone using Native Americans to their advantage, and that's exactly what Elizabeth Warren did. So let's not forget that she got that nickname, Pocahontas, because she lied to advance herself. She exploited Native American heritage. It's all on her, and now it's poor Elizabeth Warren. No, I'm sorry, I don't think so.
All right, Britt, take it away.
Put the journalist cap on. There was a genealogist that said she had 1/32 of
That's it?
American Indian heritage. So imagine if a Republican claimed a minority ethnicity off 1/32. They would be raked over the coals by the media. So I don't just blame Elizabeth Warren. I blame the media for giving her a pass to continue to lie about her heritage.
It's true.
And the Washington Post fact check told readers to research it themselves.
Well, if there's white privilege in this country, I don't know why she's claiming Native American heritage. Tommy, Britt, thank you guys very much.